Madam President, I know that Senator Little has done, Senator Jeremy Miller has done a lot of work on this bill. But the bottom line, Madam President, is what he alluded to but didn't want to expand more on. This is very controversial. It's not sort of controversial. It is controversial. It goes to the heart of who we are. And let me tell you why. First of all, the bill before the body, Madam President, is filled with and is entitled a Uniform State Labor Standard Act, which is an approach to dealing with labor standards. This couldn't be farther from the truth. This proposal is intended and designed to strip local governments of their authority to improve state or federal workplace standards. Why? Most people will ask that question because whenever you bring proposed policy, you're trying to address an issue. Why? You'll hear from Senator Disick and Senator Pappas about what thoughtful actions were taken in Minneapolis and St. Paul around earned sick and safe time, which is a paid benefit that allows workers to take time off when sick. This proposal that is before the body, Madam President, seeks to undermine the cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. But quite frankly, let's be very clear, it is not just about Minneapolis and St. Paul. It quite frankly seeks to retroactively affect local policies by stating ordinances dated on or before January 1st, 2016 are also affected. I placed on your desk, and I hope that you've had an opportunity to see, is something from the League of Minnesota Cities where there's resolutions of support for local decision-making. That's important because you have over 30, if not more, cities who put forth resolutions saying, hey, we like local decision-making. And if you look on that list, and it's not an exhaustive list because there's some others who are also should be joined on that list, it's very clear that local decision-making is an important notion. So to stop local municipalities, the chamber and other powerful industry lobbyists lined up to restrict local control. Minnesota cities are permitted to act to promote the general welfare or protect the health of people in their city limits. And various cities, as I talked about before, heard from, worked with, Madam President, their residents and workers to enact policies that benefit them. And now in the name of a disguise called uniformity, the state wants to ambush this effort. We should and must reject the proposed assault upon diverse communities in Minnesota. The wonderful thing about Minnesota is no matter where you go, we have such a rich diversity of people. Different industries, different things that they love to do in their communities. And guess what? Those people that they elect to their city councils, to their mayors, are in the best position to decide what's best for their community. And when we see a bill that seeks to unify or say, put forth some uniform standards, that's denying the diversity and not recognizing the diversity of our wonderful state. This bill, as labeled by journalists, I read this earlier today, says this is a new bill with an old strategy. This is not new. This is something that we've seen over and over again, and it was a problem then, and it's still a problem now. Associations, like I mentioned earlier, the League of Minnesota Cities and others representing local units of government are also leery of interest groups coming to the legislature when they feel their issues are not addressed on the local level. When we do this, clearly we create a problem because local officials are closer to the citizens in their cities, in the cities that they represent in comparison to the legislature. And as a result, think about this. Local officials are in the best position to make these important decisions. For the legislature to act as a circuit breaker every time a powerful interest group disagrees with the local government, this would set a very dangerous precedent by taking away choice and flexibility for local governments to respond to unique circumstances. So as a state, I would hope that Madam President, that the folks in this room will reject this proposal. Because as a state, we should celebrate diversity, respect the roles of cities, appreciate their proximity to the residents they serve, and allow residents access to local government to drive policy. And should city councils or mayors fail to respond or act appropriately, then the citizens close to them can hold them accountable through local elections. That cannot happen here. It is a problem. And with that, Madam President, I ask the body to vote against this Senate file.